music. 2 minutes? Let's try that again.
The performance is about to begin. You know the music. You've practiced it over and over. You enjoy performing. So why is your heart pounding? Your breathing shallow. Your thoughts confused and scattered. Whether you're nervously anticipating performing on stage or desperately trying to escape torrential floodwaters, what you're experiencing is called stress, a physical and emotional reaction to changes in your life. Everyone experiences stress. Some handle it better than others. How well do you think you deal with stress? We live in a fast-paced, highly charged society filled with noise, hassles, conflict, pressure, and information overload. The desire to succeed can sometimes be overwhelming. It's no wonder that more and more health conditions and social problems are thought to have a connection with stress. When you experience stress of any kind, your system must adjust mentally and physically to cope with the situation. Most of us would probably like to imagine a life without stress, where there are no problems, no worries. But that's an unrealistic fantasy. Life is a series of challenges, growth, and balance, and no matter where you live or how you spend your time, stress is a part of life. It's how you manage your stress and channel your energy that can make the difference in your quality of life. When you face a stressful situation, your body and mind can become charged with exaggerated sensations as it tries to figure out how to respond. This is often referred to as the fight or flight response. This reaction occurs during the alarm phase, the first stage of a three-step process known as the general adaptation syndrome. It's caused by the release of the hormone epinephrine, better known as adrenaline. Whether the stress is real or imagined, such as hearing unfamiliar sounds in the night, your senses are thrown off balance temporarily. Your equilibrium drops slightly. What may feel like hours is only a matter of seconds. Immediately following this alarm phase, your body shifts into the second stage of the general adaptation syndrome, the resistance phase. During this phase, your nervous system works to energize your body through hormonal activity. The goal is to keep energy levels under control and return the body to homeostasis, a normal and balanced level of functioning. If these energy levels are replenished, the harmful effects of stress on your system are short-lived and minimal. But when stress is extreme or chronic and prolonged, such as during war, your physical and mental ability to cope with stress can become depleted. The strain can wear down your immune system, leaving you vulnerable to serious illness or disorders. This is the final stage of the general adaptation syndrome, the exhaustion phase. Long-term, daily exposure to stress can lead to numerous physical and emotional maladies such as high blood pressure, job burnout, depression, migraines, and skin disorders, just to name a few. It can also put strain on a person's cardiovascular system, putting him or her at high risk for cardiovascular diseases, the leading cause of death in the United States today. Understanding the impact that stress can have on your health is a critical part of learning to manage it. First, it's important to keep in mind that not all stress is bad. Preparing for an upcoming competition or facing a job interview, for example, can elicit many uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, but it can also heighten your ability to perform. In fact, many people report feeling a kind of rush when completing a highly challenging task. This positive stress is called eustress. Competitive athletes rely on it, as do many people in the corporate and academic world. In fact, we all rely on it to some degree. Eustress generally surrounds opportunities for personal growth and satisfaction. It's the negative stress or distress that we need to manage and control successfully. A necessary step in learning to manage stress is to identify our personal sources of stress. As mentioned earlier, what is stressful to one person may not even faze someone else. Some people may relish the feel of gliding off a mountain, while others scream at the sight of a tiny spider.
The most stressful thing about school, it's probably, finals is probably it. When you come down, when you have to put everything together that you've learned and just get it all into 2 hours of time.
It's a lot of stress on basketball players because we're traveling. And, you know, we come back and we had a test the day we were traveling, so we got to make it up without even studying for it.
Writing the papers, that's what kills me. That is the stress right there.
I guess I would say stress is the inability to deal with what's going on in our life. Whether it's a relationship with a particular person or whether it's something that we're doing that's out of character for us or below our value standards, that would be stressful. Anything that would be different than the norm or would cause us discomfort in any way, I guess would be stress. Mental stress would be anything requiring heavy thinking. School would be a mental stress, and I'm sure it has been for all of us that have gone to extended education. Mental stress is also an on-the-job type stress when we come up against something new, but most of the time we're prepared and we can handle something of this nature. Emotional stresses have to do with how we feel about someone else and generally concerned about someone else's well-being and not being able to deal with it.
Caring for a sick child or parent can induce tremendous stress. Other examples of emotional stress include peer pressure, arguments, marriage, lower grades than expected, and even car trouble. Emotional stress can also be closely related to individual self-esteem. People with low self-esteem often question themselves, have difficulty making decisions, and doubt their ability to succeed. Self-esteem is a product of the relationships we've had during our lives and of our experiences with handling challenges.
Middle school was probably the worst time of my life. And there were a lot of decisions I was making that weren't the best, that were things that were made for me by the peers that I was hanging out with. I don't come from ideal family circumstances either. My parents divorced when I was 6 years old, and it's been messy ever since. They, quite frankly, they don't like each other at all. And that's been hard as a kid to grow up with that. You know, how come mommy doesn't like daddy? Or how come daddy doesn't like mommy? You know, did I have something to do with that? And all those thoughts and all of that stuff comes creeping in. And I hit bottom with how I felt about myself, how I felt about life. I hated it. I hated living.
Feelings of lost hope, suppressed anger, and helplessness are symptoms of low self-esteem fostered by poor early family relationships. In extreme and unchecked cases, these feelings can lead to depression, substance abuse, violence, or even suicide.
The pressure to fit in and to be a part of, you know, of a group or to want to conform, it's very hard as a young person, I think, to resist those pressures. And those with high self-esteem, again, are the ones who are really able to do that. And with low self-esteem, it's a tendency to really move towards the negative risk-taking behaviors.
Some ways to boost self-esteem include developing loving relationships, finding a support group, completing required tasks, and forming realistic expectations.
Fortunately, I had some really great friends who waited me out who just kind of, I mean, they were there. And they were on the outskirts, but they were always there. And it took a lot. It helped me realize, it helped me see, it helped me focus, and it helped me become who I wanted to be. Someone who was self-reliant, and yet dependent enough upon people and friends that when they said something, when they asked me to do something, or asked me a question, we could be honest with each other.
Do you have a personal support system to help ease the stress in your life? In addition to the internal stressors we all face, external or environmental stressors also play a major role in our lives.
Stress comes in so many different forms. Stress is physical stress, it's biochemical stress, it's emotional stress, it's nutritional stress. When I look at someone's stress history and present stress situation, I need to take all those factors into account. Where are they living? Are they living in the middle of a city with extraneous noises? Do they spend a lot of time in traffic? What is their home environment like? Are they having indoor pollution? There are many different ways to find out the stresses upon someone.
Environmental stress results from occurrences in our physical surroundings, including major disasters such as earthquakes. Even environmental distressors such as noise or water pollution may appear easy to tolerate, but the real effects may not become apparent for decades. Those who cannot escape background distresses may find themselves existing in a constant resistance phase, which may, over time, contribute to the development of stress-related disorders. Although stress comes from many sources, it is not the actual stress that is negative or positive, but it's our reaction to the stress that makes it good or bad.
It's sensible that you get stressed in traffic. The fight-flight response works really well with a bear out in the forest. And you need to run. The bear, you get stressed, and the bear sets off all these responses in your body, biochemically, and then you run, and you release all those chemicals, and it's good to have that level happen because then you can get out of trouble. And that's the normal stress response. Now, in our society, we sit in traffic, in noise, in all these different stresses, and we don't do anything. We just sort of sit there and we peel our nails, or we grind our teeth, or we don't sleep well, or whatever we do, and then it affects our body incredibly. Every moment we're stressed sets off a long chain of biochemical reactions in our body that affects every organ in our system. And if I can help people understand, okay, every time you sit in traffic and you're raging or whatever it is, that you're setting off this cascade of neurophysiological responses in your body, then they go, maybe I need to find out techniques or tools to deal with stress management. Because unless you move out to the country and you avoid all the stresses, and you still aren't able to avoid all the stresses, then you need to manage it, not reduce it. You can reduce some. So stress management tools are what I teach people in my practice.
Entering college should be a wonderful opportunity to explore your own potential. Yet the pressure to succeed while living alone for the first time can be overwhelming. With all the demands that surround young people today, it's easy to cave in and want to give up or escape. This is called stress overload, and its symptoms should not be ignored. They include difficulty keeping up with classes or difficulty concentrating on and finishing tasks, frequent clashes with close friends, family, or intimate partners about trivial issues, frequent mood changes or overreaction to minor problems, lethargy caused by lack of sleep or excessive frustration, disinterest in social activities or a tendency to avoid others, use of drugs or alcohol or other extreme behaviors, sleep disturbances, TV addiction, free-floating anxiety or an exaggerated sense of self, difficulty in maintaining an intimate relationship, disinterest in sexual relationships or inability to participate in satisfactory sexual relationships, a tendency to be intolerant of minor differences of opinion, hunger and cravings, a tendency to overeat or to eat while thinking of other things, lack of awareness or sensory cues, inability to listen or a tendency to jump from subject to subject in conversation, stuttering or other speech difficulties, being more prone to accidents. Have you ever experienced any of these symptoms? If you find yourself susceptible to stress overload, consider taking a stress management workshop. Most campuses have them, as do many community health centers. Needless to say, we all have different ways of coping with stress. Unfortunately, some of these methods may tax the body worse than the stress itself. The key is in finding a healthy way to deal with stress. How do you cope with stress? Would it be considered a healthy strategy?
Well, I just take breaks, sometimes smoke. Just, helps me to relax and calm me down, take my mind off my work.
I relieve stress by eating ice cream at night and hanging out with my roommates.
I like to dance. If I'm feeling kind of stressed out, I like to put on some music and dance, and if there's some place to go out and dance, I'll dance.
To relieve stress, I like to go home and watch TV and have a drink and sit and watch videos and movies or something like that and talk on the phone. I really love to talk on the phone.
Stress is not something that you can sweep under the rug or wish away. Left alone to build, negative stress can take a toll on you physically and emotionally. Think of it like a dormant yet active volcano. Eventually, the pressure builds and it has to be released. So when you're feeling distressed, step back and assess the situation. Ask yourself, what's the source of the stress? What are you willing to do about it? In other words, how important is it to you to change? How well are you handling the situation now? What effect is it having on you personally, physically? What are you going to do about it, and what are you able to do about it? What do you need to do to put your plan into action? What results do you hope to see? Some of these things you can control and change. Others you may not be able to control. Many of your current coping strategies you've learned by observing your own parents and from other role models in your life. If stress never interfered with family activities, it likely isn't an issue for you now. But if competition and the need for success were a regular part of your family or youth, then stress may indeed play a role in your life now in one way or another. The key to preventing stress from affecting your life negatively is to develop healthy life management skills. Not just stress management, but life management skills. Surround yourself with supportive relationships that promote the development of strong emotional tools, such as self-esteem. Examine your emotional responses to situations. Are they normal or are they irrational? Some people have difficulty in expressing their emotions, but the power of a good laugh or cry should not be overlooked. Bottling up emotions can bring you to a level of exhaustion that leaves you wide open to stress-related difficulties. Physical activity is another excellent stress management tool. It complements the emotional and mental strategies you employ in stress management. It also helps reduce stress by raising levels of endorphins, mood-elevating, pain-killing hormones in the bloodstream. Consequently, exercise often increases energy, reduces hostility, and improves mental alertness.
I play football. I'm on a football team. I take a lot of stress. I take it all there. I leave it all out there on the field. It's very relieving to me. It's like I have a stress management class, as a matter of fact, and I'm like very vulnerable to stress, but I cope by playing sports.
The thing that I do most is help people change their lives. That's my mission statement. Our job here, and it's not really a job, it's really a passion, and that is to help people improve their lives. One of the things that I notice of all the guests that come from all walks of life, all different geographical areas, that we have become somewhat desensitized. And what I mean by that is we spend a lot of time at computers, we spend a lot of time in phones and faxes. We're on cell phones now, and with the internet, and I'm not saying anything bad about that, but it's just the volume of information that can come into the human brain is much more than we could ever work through. But the thought is that I've got to get to it. Somehow I've got to access it, and if I can get more, somehow I'll be better. And so we sit in our cars, and then we go and we sit at a computer, and then somehow we're working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, and it's all indoors in controlled environments. One of the magical things that happen, quite frankly, is when people come from the business world and they come to this facility, and it's quiet. And so one of the things that happens is people come here, they're stressed, their shoulders are up against their ears, their eyes are dilated. And by Tuesday or Wednesday, this red rock as you see around us and the mountains and hiking, all of a sudden the shoulders start to come down. There seems to be a calming effect. And they start to discover this inner person that has been maybe forgotten because of the urban jungle and what's happening. There's this, you can just see them almost deflate and just relax.
Engaging in a regular fitness program 3 or 4 times a week has the most substantial stress management benefits. But even a daily walking routine or periodic stretching can provide a necessary break from the stressful routine of your day. Relaxation techniques can also help to preserve and restore energy and dissipate the excess hormones associated with the general adaptation syndrome. As your body relaxes, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure and metabolic rate decrease, and many other body calming effects occur, allowing you to channel energy appropriately. Alternative methods to managing stress include hypnosis, yoga, massage, meditation, and biofeedback.
It's one thing to tell somebody to go in a room and get quiet and shut out all the noise, and it's another thing to sit there and actually focus on one thing as opposed to a million things that are on your mind. So we will teach people to focus on maybe a pinpoint of light, close your eyes, and rather than go into it and have you hypnotize yourself now. I won't go into too much detail, but that's just one technique, having them to learn how to breathe, how to basically kind of relax your body. Because if your body is relaxed, so is your mind. The main thing I would start with is teaching you how to breathe. And to basically learn how to breathe in, it would be somewhat close to what people do in yoga meditation, because I think it's all related still. Breathing in, holding your breath, filling your diaphragm as much as you can with that air and holding it, tightening the muscles, and then after a while your muscles can't hold that too long, and then exhale slowly through your mouth.
What you eat can also play an important role in the fight against stress. A balanced, healthful diet will provide the nutrients needed to build physical and emotional stamina.
When I was in college, I just ate whatever was in the fast food place or whatever my friends would eat, and usually it wasn't that healthy. And a lot of times I would feel mentally groggy, I would just feel sluggish. I didn't feel so good emotionally either sometimes. And I know that since I've been eating healthier, since I've taken it upon myself to do a little reading on health, I've started associating with more people that are interested in health. I go to free lectures in the community sometimes. I go to natural food stores. And I've just discovered a little bit more about ways to improve my health, and it's really improved my perspective on my life, just my outlook, my energy level. I feel much better. I feel like I have a lot more mental clarity, and I think that that's a really important step for anybody that's trying to achieve, trying to study, trying to be physically fit. Definitely health and nutrition have to be part of that whole plan.
Unfortunately, in our fast-paced society, eating healthy seems near impossible, especially for college students away from home.
Well, I'm kind of busy and I just eat what I can, so I'm not really healthy.
Like what kinds of foods?
Mostly fast foods and pizza, McDonald's, whatever I can get that's quick.
Another key factor in stress management is developing effective skills for managing your time. Social distance, work, friends. But now, there's only so much time in a day. Often the demands can be overwhelming. Effective time management not only allows you more control of your life, but you can probably find ways to schedule in exercise, relaxation, healthy eating habits, and social time with loved ones. Stress doesn't have to dominate your life. Time management can relieve a great of that pressure. Try the following. Clean off your desk. Often, valuable time is wasted looking for misplaced items. In this way, you begin your efforts by organizing what's immediately in front of you. Never handle papers more than once. Read your mail, file it, or toss it. Take care of bills and other correspondence immediately. Prioritize your tasks. Make a daily to-do list and try to stick to it. Avoid interruptions. If you need time to concentrate on something, unplug the phone, close your door, and put a Do Not Disturb sign on it. Reward yourself for being efficient. Take some time for yourself once in a while. If it means scheduling it into your day, do it. Reduce your awareness of time. Get rid of your watch and listen to your body to determine when to eat or sleep. Become aware of your own time patterns. Chart your daily schedule for 1 week. Assess how you could be more productive and make more time for yourself. It's clear that stress can have a devastating physical and psychological effect on your body when it is not managed well. Numerous studies have linked stress with various maladies, including heart disease, skin disorders, and migraines, to name a few. And even when it isn't the cause of a disorder, often stress can irritate a condition. In addition, stress-related issues can affect our interpersonal relationships. Yet even with all this information available, people continue to push themselves, to place themselves in a position where stress can become a negative factor. Why? We live in a society that tends to reward overachievement. Overtime is often recognized as dedication. We talk of going the extra mile, and risk-taking is now referred to as extreme sports. But it's that very overachieving that can place us at risk for health problems. Is it to you? At what cost? How can we learn to channel our energies better to capitalize on the eustress and reduce the distress in our lives? Your ability to handle daily stressors plays a big part in determining your health. What role does stress play in your life?